Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Lee Perry. I am a volunteer with Save Orange County. I also run the Save Splitter Forest campaign, and we are coming together to host a press conference on the discussion and decision on the 53,000 acres of annexation land that the City of Orlando is proposing and talking about today. I would like to first introduce Representative Anavi Escamani to speak on this issue.
Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. There's definitely been a lot of confusion on when the vote for this issue is actually going to happen, which I'll explain in a quick second. My name is Anavi Escamani, proud to serve as State House Representative for District 42, which encompasses parts of the City of Orlando. Of course, I am joined by other elected officials. I want to acknowledge that we have Representative Lavon Bracy Davis, who is here with us as well, Commissioner Emily Bonilla, and of course, we actually have candidates for the County Commission, both Dr. Kelly Summeron on the ballot this November in 2 weeks. Voting starts today for early vote. And of course, we have Eric Gray running in the future for County Commission as well, which is fantastic. And so we gathered here a few weeks ago with the very first vote the City of Orlando had over this annexation debate. And I have to tell you, since then, we've had so many conversations with voters who are incredibly frustrated by the city's actions and, of course, by what is a expediting of this vote with the intention of ignoring the voters' will. So voters are casting ballots right now. Vote-by-mail ballots were mailed about 2 weeks ago. I already dropped off mine. Early vote starts today in Orange County. And despite the fact that you have voters who are making a decision on both the rural boundary and annexation, the City Council continues to push this issue forward in an effort to take a vote before the voters even have a say on the decision. And my understanding is that those who have publicly signed up to speak today on this issue were sent an email Friday around 5 o'clock telling them this vote has been moved to November 4th. But of course, now there's confusion that it might be even a different date. So that tells us that the public pressure is working, that the voice of the people to stop this decision is having an impact on the City Council. So my ask for all the constituents and citizens right here in Orange County is to continue to contact the City Council, continue to advocate for a yes vote on these charter amendments, and let's ensure that the people's voices are heard, not those of large special interests. For me, as someone who represents the urban core of Orlando, we want to see more density, we want to see more public transportation, we don't want to see more sprawl. And I've had so many conversations with constituencies who are worried about the environmental impact of this decision, who are, of course, worried about public safety. They're worried about the inability to grow our food here in Florida if we continue to lose ag and rural land to development. And it's so important for those voters to have a say. And I am hoping the City of Orlando is hearing those voices, and I can only suspect that with the delay of these votes, they are. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to our next speaker. I'll give it to Lee Perry to introduce the next speaker. And I really just thank everyone for being here. And let's continue our advocacy. Let's continue to put that pressure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to try to rush since we got a random rain spurt. But now I would like to invite Commissioner Emily Bonilla to come up and speak.
Thank you. I'm Commissioner Emily Bonilla of District 5 Orange County. And I'm here to tell you that the people of East Orange County do not want this annexed. They depend on the agricultural industry out in the East Orange County area. And it's their bread and butter. And the top 3 economic drivers of Orange County is agriculture. I'm sorry, it's like pouring rain.
Go ahead.
We are trying to have smart growth, and we need density where it belongs, which is in the urban core, not in our agricultural areas where we depend on that for our economic drivers of Orange County. So the people in East Orange County, they are not for this annexation, despite what they may have said in the recent op-ed that they put out. They want to protect the area. So please go out and vote, protect the area. Contact the City of Orlando commissioners to make sure that they make the right decisions for our county. Instead of spending money where it doesn't belong, they need to spend the money in the city, fixing those potholes, fixing the stormwater drains that are overflowing, cleaning some of the lakes that are in the city of Orlando, which have sewage spilling into them. There's a lot of issues here that they need to put their money towards, not spending it, spreading out into urban sprawl. Thank you. Woohoo!
Oh my goodness. I think we might have to postpone. I don't know what you guys think.
There we go.
I'm so sorry, everybody, but we're going to take a 5-minute break until the rain passes. Oh, it stopped? Okay, great. Okay, amazing. So now we're going to have Dr. Kelly Semrad come out and speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for the community for coming out. So I'm Dr. Kelly Semrad. I'm the Vice Chair of Safe Orange County. I'm also the citizen who initiated the rural boundary back in July of 2023. That process then initiated where the charter amendment went under study with our group of citizens who reviews and amends our county constitution every 4 years to meet our growing needs. During that time period, special interests and mega developer of Tavistock amended state law to block the people so that we could not move the rural boundary and the annexation to our ballots in November. When that did not work, then they went and they tried to change the deadline at the supervisor of elections. When that didn't work, they sued the county. And when that didn't work, they went to the city of Orlando and they said, we want you to annex 52,470 acres so that we can build urban, high density and intensity developments in our St. Johns River Basin. This has massive ecological damage and destruction. Additionally, it is so fiscally irresponsible when we talk about developing an entire new Orlando, the size of Baltimore, that will increase the city size by 2/3, far enough away that it's almost like driving to Sanford, and building something new and shiny while completely forgetting about the people here in the city of Orlando. Additionally, I want to talk about the last time we came before this city council. We listened to some very harsh criticism from Buddy Dyer as well as the city commissioners. It was hard to listen to because it was things like the county commission and Mayor Demings acts at the whim of a cloud, that the reason we're all here is because this was rushed and rashed, that the county should send thank you letters to the city council members for making them money. Buddy Dyer basically looked out into the crowd and he was upset because he heard rumbles of people talking about corruption on social media. Well, what do the people have to think except for corruption when we're looking at things like people are actively voting on Charter Amendment 9 and 10, and this council is trying to beat us to annex the land that is inside of that boundary that people are deciding on whether or not they want to conserve. And when we see that they changed state law, they tried to change a deadline, they sued the county, and then they came here as a final resort to silence our vote at the ballot, it is wrong. And it is willfully ignoring the voice of every single Orange County voter, which includes Orlando City residents. So please keep following this story. So we're looking at a time period of coming back on November 4th. And the City Council left us with just one bit of information during the last session when they said, you can trust us because we have experience, because we don't have term limits. Well, let me tell you what happens to city council members, mayors, and elected leaders when they do not listen to their constituents. They get term limited at the ballot box, and that's where we'll take this fight. Thank you so much for following.
All right, and now I would like to invite Eric Gray to come up and speak from Christian Service Center.
Thank you. Thank you guys for sticking with us through the rain. Lee and Dr. Semrad asked me to come out and speak, and this is not an area that I thought I'd find myself speaking on, and I've been studying it. And what's really fascinating to me is I know all 6 members of the city council and the mayor pretty well, and these are some very smart people. They're people I respect and have been impressed with for the entire time I've had the opportunity to work with them. And at the same time, we have 2 different PhDs standing up here with me. We have one of the smartest people I've ever met in Emily Bonilla, We have a lot of smart people that work with us in different volunteer roles. Gordon Spears is one of the smartest people in planning and development I've ever met, and yet they have wide disagreements. So how can good people that are really, really intelligent, that impress me at every level, have this level of disagreement? And so it comes down to me is that there is a new way of operating in government that I think we're just missing. So for example, it takes about 37 years, I had to look this up, 37 years for a community, once they build a road, for it to pay for itself in tax revenue. That's pretty much any community in the United States. But we still look at these investments and we don't think about, is this going to be a profit for the city and the profit for the residents of the city? Who's profiting from this? And we don't need to guess at this. We have three things that we're just not using. One is history. We've got 20 years with Lake Nona and a very similar development. Why are we not looking at the overall benefit? Because if the benefit of Lake Nona has been wildly successful for the city of Orlando's residents, then I'd be the first one to say that we should probably do it again. We also have other communities that we can tap into. People that are doing this all over the country, communities that replicate this type of work all the time. Why would we need to guess at this? And then we have our own science that we don't use. Last year I was involved with the Tourist Development Task Force, a group that admittedly did not use any science in making decisions on how to commit $1 billion worth of income from our visitors to smart growth. Why not use the science? And I have to ask that question. Why are smart people not using the science that's available to them to make wise decisions? Why in a community where we are the largest to not have an NFL franchise, we're the largest to have no form of professional baseball, we're the largest community in the country to not have a Fortune 500 headquartered here? Those things are all related, and it's because the economic health of the community is not sound enough to support those things. So we need to be focusing on the infill development of the community as a whole. But if you want to build a new community of 55,000 acres, the size of Toledo, in the east part of town, I have some environmental concerns, but Dr. Semrad and Lee can address those. I have some voter equity concerns. My friend Dr. Escabani can address that. My concerns are fiscal. How is this going to fiscally benefit the residents of the community for the next 30, 80, 100 years? And we don't have to guess at that. We have the data to do that. In communities that aren't healthy, people can vote with their feet now and they can move to another community. Except not everybody has that ability. And the people that I work with every day, people who are struggling with homelessness, don't have the ability to vote with their feet. They don't have the ability to say, this is not a healthy community for me, I'm going to go somewhere else. They're stuck. And we need to make sure that we're building a healthy community. This might be the smartest thing that the city of Orlando has ever done. But we won't know for 80 years if we don't look at the data in advance. And we have the science to look at this, so why not look at it? This might be the dumbest thing the city of Orlando has ever done. And we don't know because we haven't really taken the time to look at the science, because just like the TDT project, just like other things that we see happen in local government, it's rushed. And the process of doing things that are rushed very rarely turn out well. So thank you guys for supporting, and please do what we can to try to support the health and wealth of the community. Thank you.
Eric Gray.
All right, and now we're going to welcome Gordon Spears to come up and speak, who is an appointee from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Lee. The future belongs to the efficient. The future belongs to the sustainable. And development of the annexation area that the city is considering is neither efficient nor sustainable. The city has not looked at the return on investment. Any investor knows what return on investment means. It means are you going to make back in the future enough to cover your expenses in the present? And in terms of governance, it means is future tax revenue going to pay for the expenses of infrastructure, not only to install it, but to operate it and to maintain it indefinitely into the future. This is not a sustainable project for the simple reason that East Orange County has no fresh water. They have already sucked the fresh water out of the aquifer. There's a development immediately north of this that is completely out of fresh water. They have gone to the county to try to get the county to help them with their lack of fresh water. And it's a much smaller community than what's envisioned here. So if the city goes ahead with this, it's going to be a financial burden on the entire city in perpetuity. It makes no sense. What this town needs is more dense development within our urban core, supported by transit and other utility infrastructure. Sprawling out into East Orange County is not the solution to any of the problems facing us. All of these problems are getting worse with climate change, with the rise of sea level, and I would be surprised if parts of this area of annexation are not salt marsh before the 40 years is up. The city tells us nothing is going to be built there for 40 years. In 40 years, it may already be salt marsh. We can look at the data and tell that the sea level is coming up. It's projected to come up by at least 2 meters, and that puts it at about the elevation of much of this area. So this is not sustainable, and the city should not annex this property.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And last but not least, I would love to welcome Gabby Milch, who is from the St. Johns River Keeper and an amazing advocate for our aquifer. Gabby.
Thank you, Lee. Hello, I'm Gabby Milch, and I'm here today to talk about sound urban development. And this annexation is claiming to be sound urban development, where at least 1/4 of the land is environmentally sensitive. It has the Economowoc River Basin, the Tuttahoochee River, and also the St. Johns River and Taylor Creek and its reservoir. And that's what they're looking to for surface water for our drinking water in the future. So we would like to ask and be sure that if they go through with this annexation, that they have the most stringent protections for our water quality and quantity that's possible, and that we take care of the existing residents here before we go ahead and create new drinking water alternative sources and worry about our water quality. Thank you. Woo!
Would you like to take any questions for Representative Escamani or any of the other speakers today? We're all good. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. You know, I am a young homeowner who wants to invest my future here, and quite frankly, decisions like this that are rushed before we have a chance to speak our minds at the ballot box really scare me as a young person trying to lay the foundation of my family and my future here. And so I hope that the city of Orlando is going to take everything that we are saying actively when we come out to speak into consideration, and not just make this a fight on who is better to work with for developers. So thank you all so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.